It is really hard to believe that it's already fall, but it is. And all the plants that we put out in the spring have to be dealt with in the fall. Now there's houseplants that go out, and there's annual flowers that were planted, and a lot of them are going to be killed by frost. But with a little effort, we can extend the gardening season and bring some of summer inside to extend the season well into the fall season. So I have a whole bunch of things here to show you, and one of the rules that we need to start with is that the plants that do really well in the shade outside are those plants that have the best shot of doing well inside over the winter. Now a plant like this is an impatiens, and it's pretty, it has beautiful flowers, but you can see in this container that it's kind of gotten leggy, and you would want to snap that off, cut it way down so that you just have the nice leaves, and put it into a pretty pot, maybe one pot size larger than this. And then you could keep it inside. And the rule is that plants that do well in the shade outside, you put in the sunniest window you have inside. And that way you get enough light for them to do well in the winter. Remember, in your living room in New Jersey is not the same as outside in the shade in the summertime. It's pretty dark in your living room in New Jersey in the winter. So this is another plant, a coleus, does really well in the shade outside, has beautiful foliage. Flowers aren't much to jump up and down about. But again, you see all the new growth coming up in here. You would cut this back, expose the new growth, have it grow and fill in. Begonias are classic. This is a very pretty begonia. It's white with a little pink around the edges, a little bit unusual. Again, put this in one pot size larger and it will do well for you, sometimes even for years on a sunny windowsill. Now this one's kind of fun because this is another begonia, but look, it has two kinds of flowers. See, this is a double flower right here with lots of petals. And then this over here is a single flower with a single row of petals. It's called a non-stop begonia. This is in a large enough pot. You wouldn't need to transplant this. You might want to put it in a more attractive pot. If you have it in the garden, you could dig it up now and put it in a pot and leave it outside so it would get used to being in a pot for a while. So even if you have these in the ground, they can be moved into containers and brought inside. These are two varieties of what's called pink polka dot plant. Botanical name is Hypoestes, and they give great color in a shade garden in the summertime. But you can also bring them indoors and have them in a sunny windowsill and have them be, you know, very cheerful. They make these little flowers, but that's not really what you want. They tend to get leggy when they're making flowers. So you want to kind of remove them, and you can see how spectacular they look mixed in with all of these other plants. So they are really wonderful outside in the summer, but you want to be able to enjoy them inside as well. Now here's a couple. This is a beautiful hibiscus, but it's a woody hibiscus. It's tropical. You cannot leave it outside, but you can enjoy the flowers in a sunny spot inside. Sometimes they'll bloom all winter long. Maybe not as many flowers, but even one or two throughout the winter is well worth having to break up the winter doldrums. This is covered in buds. Bring it inside, put it in the sunniest window you have, and it will probably do fine. It'll get a little leggy and stretch out, and then before you're willing to put it out again in the spring, you give it a little bit of a pruning. Now this is an excellent example of what an amaryllis should look like. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 leaves. Generally speaking, it requires a minimum of 5 leaves to be healthy enough to make a flower next year. As you can see, it's starting to fade. You want to stop watering it now, let the leaves begin to yellow, cut them off at the base, give it 60 days of totally being dormant, and then start it up again, say December, early January, to have winter blooms. Christmas cactus is another favorite, and here's the trick. To make a Christmas cactus bloom, this is a little impatiens in here that just decided to volunteer, but to make a Christmas cactus bloom, the most important thing is to give it cool nights. So don't bring this one in too soon. If the temperatures are going to go down to freezing, of course you want to bring it in. but it will tolerate temperatures down into the low 40s. And with cool night temperatures, you set the flower buds that are then going to bloom in November, December, or January, depending on the variety. But without those cool nights, you'll never get winter flowers. Now, the last thing I want to show you is this kind of funny looking thing. This is a rosemary. And rosemary chicken is really good. So you may want to have fresh rosemary inside. Now, rosemary plants are only borderline hardy in Central Jersey. So if you have a plant in the ground, you may want to leave it out in a protected spot in the ground. You may want to take cuttings and try to root them. That's another possibility. Or you may want to take the plant and pot it up in something like this, cut it back, dig it out of the ground, put it in a container, put it in a sunny spot, and then have fresh rosemary all winter long. You can see that this has got new shoots coming, breaking from the sides. It should do fine. It's a lovely plant, and it even smells wonderful. Now, the last plant I want to talk about, this is a geranium. Geraniums tend to be a little on the pricey side. Many times people want to get them to overwinter. Very difficult to get geraniums to overwinter. The reason for that is they really need a lot of sun. But lots of times people want to try anyway. So what you want to do with a geranium is you want to try to take cuttings. Try to root the cuttings in a sterile medium. Keeping a lot of plants takes up way too much room. So this plant is ripe for cuttings. You can see it's gotten a little leggy in a couple of places. So you take a cutting like that. You don't want to have flowers on a cutting. So you take off the flowers, you remove the lower leaves, and this is very important. These spots where leaves used to attach are called leaf nodes. And leaf nodes are a very active part of the plant. So you want to have leaf nodes near the bottom. And what you want to do is use a rooting hormone. It's a white powder. You can buy it in very, very small quantities in little foil packets. And you dip it in. That's way too much. You tap it off. So you just have a little bit of residue on the bottom. You use a sterile potting medium. This is special potting material for making cuttings. And you stick it in like that. Once they get roots about 1 inch long, you transfer them to, say, a 4-inch pot, and you can keep them on the windowsill until spring when you can move them back outside. It's a much more effective way than trying to keep over the winter a whole bunch of oversized plants. So take cuttings, and you'll have as many as you need. And you'll also enjoy having the cuttings in the house on your windowsill looking green and happy till spring. We have a few more things to talk about. Fall is for lawn care, so we'll be back in a minute. Drought tough. It's what it says right here on the bag of grass seed, and this is what I need for the very sandy soil in Ocean Grove, where the backyard faces due south, and there's a fence around it, so it gets really hot and really dry, and I'm not there all the time to water. So this is the kind of seed I need for that spot, and it needs to go down now. Late summer, early fall is the best time. But there's many kinds of grass seed, and I always get the question, I have brown spots in my lawn, what do I do? So we're gonna ask Mike, what do you do, Mike? Brown spots in the lawn.
Hi, Peggy, happy fall.
Yes, happy fall.
Well, brown spots in the lawn usually need to be reseeded, so that's what we need to do this time of the year.
But Drought Tough isn't for every spot.
No, that's right. Drought Tough is a blend of turf-type tall fescue grasses.
Aren't they a little rough around the edges?
Well, the old-fashioned ones are, but these are the new ones.
So the old Kentucky 31 is...
Yeah, they don't use
it's
out
that
in the pasture
anymore. Out in the pasture, okay.
But these are developed to be finer bladed, not as fine as the ryegrasses and the bluegrasses, but they perform a service in our landscape that we dearly need.
Okay, touch-up.
This
Is that for the brown spots?
Well, this will work good for brown spots if you have a yard that's kind of a mix of everything already. This is primarily perennial ryegrass. It has a blend of 3 or 4 different types, so that the main thing with touch-up is it comes up fast.
Right. So, you know, Kentucky bluegrass can take 30 days to germinate. So if you kind of push your luck and are waiting a little too long,
right,
and you don't want mud in the spring, this
Make
one's
sure
perfect.
you have some touch-up in there.
Okay.
So.
Now, wait. What's the difference? This is sun and shade.
Well, this has some of the same grass seeds as the touch-up in it. It has some ryegrass in it, but it also has fescues and some bluegrasses in it. So it has varieties of grasses that will do well in both sun and shade.
Okay. Now, one of the important differences is that the bluegrass kind of nets together with the root system.
Right.
So if you have bluegrass in your lawn already, maybe some of it will kind of knit together and maybe fill in by itself.
Right.
Maybe.
Actually, the bluegrass will grow into those brown spots. And part of the thing you have to figure out is, why do you have brown spots?
Oh, well, sometimes dogs do it.
Well, that's a problem that you have
Yeah.
to deal with dogs. You know, Holly, I'm sure, doesn't do that, but but you never know.
Okay. And then there's disease, too. Is it worth
Right.
bothering to
You
treat
can-
for disease?
Well, this year we've noticed that there was a lot of brown patch around in lawns. Usually you don't have to treat for that, but if you scratch it up really good or put some fresh topsoil down and then reseed again, you can get
the appropriate
with the
seed.
appropriate seed, whether it's for sun, shade, or whatever.
Here's one, full sun.
That's right, and all these are blended higher percentage of bluegrass because that does do well in the full sun.
And the point is you want to make sure you use the right seed for the right spot, because if you put the wrong one, it's not going to work. If you have a shady area, this is not going to work.
No, it'll come up and it'll look good for a little while, but next year when the leaves come out on the tree,
It'll just thin out and you'll have wasted your time.
Right.
Now, if you're going to do a major lawn overhaul and you're going to start from scratch and dig it all up, should you wait till spring?
no, it's much better to do a lawn in the
I'm
fall
so glad you
time.
agree with me. People fight me on that all the time. I
No.
want to see it in the spring. And I say, no, you
Well,
can't do that.
I'll tell you, a perfect example is you go for a ride and you go past the sod farms.
Okay.
Right now, the sod farms are planting their grass. They do it at the most optimum time of the year to grow grass. And if the professionals are doing it, that make money doing it,
Yeah, we
that's the
should do
time
it
for
too.
you too.
Okay, so seed isn't the only thing. What about all these other products?
Well, Peggy, remember before I asked you, why do you have the brown spots?
An important question.
Okay, well, if you have grubs, for instance, in your lawn, or if you had a lot of Japanese beetles this year, you'd want to,
Aren't they ugly?
well, they're cute little white things in the lawn, but it's but they don't do your lawn any good.
No.
So you do want to try to kill them, and this time of the year, from sometime in August till about the end of September, is the most optimum time to kill white grubs.
That's because they're little.
They're babies. And
They just hatched out.
that's right.
And one way to tell that you have grubs is if you grab the grass and lift, it comes right up.
That's right.
So if that's your problem, you need this.
You need to do this first. There's a couple of different kinds, but you need to deal with the grubs because
Right.
the new grass seed that you put down there is going to get eaten by the grubs if you don't.
Yeah, and it's really tender and yummy too, right? So, and don't wait till spring, because the only thing that kills grubs in the spring is a brick. Okay,
Right, or 2 bricks.
2 bricks. All right, so
So-
what's this?
Well, if you're going to plant a new lawn and you don't have grubs, one of the things that happens is that after all the spring rains and all the summer heat and the thunderstorms and everything, the nutrition in the soil gets depleted,
Especially nitrogen. 'Cause
especially
it doesn't
nitrogen.
hang around very long.
But the thing is that with new lawns, if you're reseeding, is that we don't necessarily want a lot of nitrogen.
But we need some.
We need some, but
okay.
we want more phosphorus and potash in the soil to help build strong roots.
Okay, now the numbers on the bag, the 3 numbers represent nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And it's phosphorus and potassium you need in the fall because that's what grows the roots.
That's right.
So,
So what we recommend is that you use a new seeding lawn fertilizer that's lower in nitrogen.
14, 28, 15. Now, roots grow in response to change in temperature and change in day length, which is why you use this kind of fertilizer in the fall and a higher nitrogen fertilizer in the spring.
That's right. And so this will really give you a good start, even though it seems like a wrong time of year, because it's
Okay,
not spring.
now this one is a big heavy one. This one, weed and feed.
Right. And if you have some of that left in your garage, don't do it in the fall if you're reseeding.
That's right, because even though grass is not killed by weed killer ordinarily, those tiny little baby seedlings will succumb to the weed killer.
That's right. So you don't want to do that. So if you do have weeds or young baby weeds in your lawn that you want to get rid of, you don't want to reseed at the same time.
Right.
Or you try to reseed early and then wait till about the end of October, and then you can use a lawn weed killer to kill those baby dandelions.
So the grass will be established enough by
That's
then?
right. You need
Okay.
2 to 3 mowings after you know, from when the time you sowed the seed till you put weed killer down.
And then the grass plants will be strong enough to hold up under the weed killer.
That's
pressure.
right. So you always
Okay.
have to allow the lead time from the time you put the seed down till actually they germinate and start to grow.
So what you're saying here is timing is everything.
That's right. Just like the rest of life.
Okay.
Timing is everything.
Okay, so you want to do your major lawn renovation in the fall. You want to get your grub control down early if you have a grub problem.
Right.
You want to use the right seed for the right spot.
Right.
And you want to encourage root growth.
Right.
And you want to get it all done before the ground freezes.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else we need to know about this?
Yep. Back your truck up and we'll fill it up.
Okay, there you go. All right, we've got more things to cover here at Home with Peggy. Fall is a time for Halloween ghosts and pumpkin pie and jack-o'-lanterns and applesauce and apple cider and those donuts, those round donuts you eat with the apple cider. All wonderful stuff, including winter squash, which are excellent sources of nutrition, really pretty if you want to just leave them on the table in an arrangement, easy to cook, and you can substitute the butternut squash for pumpkin in pumpkin pie. They also make great soups. But today, I just want to show you the simplest way to eat an acorn squash, which they sort of look like an acorn, but they are really yummy and so easy, and so many people just pass them by because they don't know what to do with them. The first thing is we want to cut them in half this way, but they're very hard to cut, so sometimes it takes a little muscle. But you do eventually get through them. So I'm going to cut both of these and then show you what they look like on the inside. Okay, so now I've got them all cut and I'm scooping out the seeds, and you can see the seeds look an awful lot like pumpkin seeds. So we're going to save these seeds and we're going to wash them off and put them aside because you can roast them in the oven just like pumpkin seeds, but we'll save that for later. Now here we have the squash, and we have my mother's frying pan, and we're going to put these in here. And we're going to turn the oven on to 375 so it starts to warm up. Now this is so easy and so absolutely delicious. Just take some butter and take a nice hunk and put it in each one. It's going to bake and be absorbed by the squash. Takes about an hour to an hour and a half of baking time for them to get fork tender all the way through. So it takes a while. So even though it's easy, you want to make sure that you give yourself plenty of time. And then brown sugar. And I'm going to have these for dinner tonight. And maybe some pork chops on the side, I think, would be really good. And that's really all you have to do. And then just pop them in the oven. A little bit more. I like the brown sugar. That one got cheated. Okay? So that's how they look. You just put them in the oven. And forget about them for about an hour. And then check on them until they're done. And we'll show you what they look like when they're all done. I'll even taste one, I think. It's been about an hour and 15 minutes, and I did baste them with the brown sugar and the butter around the edge of the acorn squash a couple of times. There they are. Let's see if we can get the fork in there. Ooh, perfect. Just yummy. And dinner's pretty much all done. When we first moved to Blooming Acres in 1991, I used to sit in the middle of this room and cry because the house was so ugly. Moving from a Victorian house in New Brunswick on a tiny piece of property to 10 acres with a horrible house was definitely a trade-off. Since then, we've made wonderful changes, added lots of wood, hardwood floors, beautiful moldings around doorways and windows, even a whole second floor addition. But the richness and the beauty of wood contributes to the Victorian feel of this truly modern ranch house. I'll never quite turn it into a Victorian mansion, but I'm going to make every effort between now and when I leave to get as close to that as possible. Now, I have with me a guest, Brian McCarthy of Custom Crown Molding, whose specialty is to help me do that kind of thing, me and a lot of other people, right?
That's correct, Peggy.
Custom crown moldings. I know what that is, but explain it.
Well, what we specialize in is a built-up layered crown molding, which consists of 2 pieces of 3 1/4 inch base molding, which is very common in most houses. One on the wall and one on the ceiling, and sandwiched in between is a piece of crown molding.
So that beautiful effect around the ceiling that you see in places like Newport, Rhode Island, in those mansions, you do to people's everyday homes and take them from being ordinary to extraordinary.
You got it.
So you have a sample for me?
Yes, I do. Okay. Now this here is a cross section of a corner, which you can see the profile.
So there's a piece of wood here, one here,
Yes.
and one here.
This is base molding that you'd see on your floor, basically, but on the ceiling facing outwards.
So did you invent this?
I actually made this up, but just going through magazines, I've seen many profiles created that's very similar.
Okay. But so this is not super fancy wood that costs an
No.
arm and a leg. This is, you've just taken traditional floor molding and used it in an untraditional way.
These are all moldings that you can buy at any local hardware store,
But
basically.
I don't see them in everybody's house. They don't look like that.
Well, you have to put a little finesse to it.
Okay, so that's your specialty, is the finesse.
I guess you could say that.
Okay, but this is beautiful, and look at how even all those joints are. I mean, that's magnificent. I've tried to do that. That's not easy to do. So you have a couple of pieces. You're going to show me
Yes.
how to do that? Okay.
Okay. Now this here is your basic.
Oh, I have that in my son's room on the floor. We're going to take it out and put in something bigger.
Exactly. Well, that's common now.
Right.
Now everybody's opting for the 5 1/4 inch base mold.
Right. We have that all around this room.
But for this profile, the 5 1/4 inch doesn't work too well.
Too big?
It just the way the profile of it doesn't work as good as the 3 1/4 inch. This here, like we talked about, is a 3 1/4 inch base. It's colonial base molding.
Okay.
You can buy anywhere. Any.
So you would put
lumberyard.
this on the ceiling or on the wall?
This would be on both.
Oh, both.
But
Okay.
the first step is to put it on the ceiling.
And how do you get it straight?
Well, you have to measure out exactly with blocks how your profile is going to lay out.
Because walls aren't always straight.
No, that's why you can't use chalk lines.
Chalk lines don't work.
No, because the walls bow and concave. So this has to follow the wall, basically.
Okay, so it's better to follow the wall than to be straight.
That's correct.
Because the eye fixes it for you when
Exactly.
you're... Okay, all right, I'm familiar with that.
So this goes on the ceiling, and then on the wall,
And then this is the big piece.
and then the crown molding sandwiches right in between it.
So let's see. So this would go
That would
on
be
the
on the wall, say.
and then this would go...
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Now, you could also play with it and get a reveal that is most to your particular style. You could do a small reveal like this, or you could opt to do a bigger reveal.
Wouldn't that make more sense on a higher ceiling?
Yes.
So on a regular 8-foot ceiling, you'd want to maybe keep it a little smaller?
You can. You can play with it to whatever is most appealing to you.
And it's personal taste.
Exactly.
Okay. And then you do another one on the top.
You got it. So it'll be the same piece of molding
Okay, but
on
how
top.
do you do the corners?
Well, I coat my joints.
What does that mean?
Well, it's
I
actually,
have a lot of trouble coping on a daily basis, so I mean, if you cope your joints, what does that mean?
well, with coping your joint, well, how crown molding is cut, it's cut upside down in your saw. And it has to sit on the saw table, the same angle it's going to sit on the wall. It's called a spring angle.
Okay.
So one part of a cope joint is butted to the wall, and the next joint is cut to the profile
Oh my God, look at that. How do you do that?
with a coping saw
A coping saw.
or a fretting saw.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
Now,
then,
the way this works is
oh my gosh, that's
you
perfect.
get a perfect joint
That's perfect.
because no walls are actually 90 degrees. So even if it's out of square, you're still gonna get a very nice tight joint.
And that's what you do.
You got it.
And you go around and do moldings in people's houses and make houses beautiful.
That's what
And
I
you
do.
do some other things too. What are the other things you do? Like, you said something like sort of
Like a
shadow boxes?
shadow box is actually what you have here, Peggy. This really nice pass-through, which is almost like a giant fireplace surround.
Yes, it's similar to that.
Very
yeah.
similar. Built up, same way I would build it up, but each person's
Technique is slightly different.
is
in
slightly
style.
different. Yes, and style's a little different.
Well, I got lucky because this room was done by two different contractors, and the second contractor, who has become a dear friend, was able to match exactly what the first contractor did. And I think there's even a level of skill involved with that. I mean, he was able to
Sure.
match it perfectly. And
Absolutely.
you can do that kind of thing.
Yes.
So if somebody's interested in having this done in their house, making their house magnificent, how would someone get a hold of you?
Well, you can go onto my website, which is www.customcrownmolding.com, and molding is spelled M-O-U-L-D-I-N-G.
The English way.
I guess so. Or my phone number, 732-543-6128.
This is it, At Home with Peggy, with Brian McCarthy of Custom Crown Molding, and my imagination is just running wild. So join us next time, At Home with Peggy.